Ravens! My name is Rachel Fassett, and I have been a part of our Shine campaign for 3 years. My favorite part about Shinerama is seeing everyone's creativity come through as they plan different campaigns and fundraisers to support cystic fibrosis. Get involved with Shinerama during Follow Week at these awesome events. And don't forget to follow SL Ravens and Carlton Shinerama on Instagram for the latest events, updates, prizes, and more. See you soon!
Hi, my name is Kayla and I have been a part of our Shine campaign for the last 2 years. My favorite part about Shinerama at Carleton is the community spirit that goes into the fundraising events and supporting a great cause as a community.
Amigo Karting is the largest karting track in Outaouais. You'll find a variety of karts that the whole family will enjoy. If you're looking for an extreme adrenaline rush, come and try out our Super Kart or Mega Kart, built for speeds up to 90 kilometers an hour. Visit our site at amigokarting.com.
Join a friendly competition of Ravens Epic Bingo. Play for your chance to win some great prizes.
Hi, my name is Rhiannon, but everyone just calls me Rhi. This is actually my first year participating in Carleton Shine Rama. And being a part of Carleton Shine Rama to me means being able to help patients who live with cystic fibrosis, like my cousin, but also being able to do it with such an amazing group of Carleton Shine Rama students who are also participating, especially my team, Go Main Walkers. And honestly, the journey so far has been such an experience, and I cannot wait to see what's up next.
See You on the Go is Carleton's public printing solution, and it allows you to print, scan, and copy at over 30 locations across campus. You can print from your phone, tablet, laptop, desktop, or any Carleton PC. Learn how to print at carleton.ca/seeyouonthego/print.
Hi, my name is Rhiannon, but everyone just calls me Rhi. This is actually my first year participating in Carleton Shine Rama. And being a part of Carleton Shine Rama to me means being able to help patients who live with cystic fibrosis, like my cousin, but also being able to do it with such an amazing group of Carleton Shine Rama students who are also participating, especially my team, Go Main Walkers. And honestly, the journey so far has been such an experience, and I cannot wait to see what's up next.
Meet your fellow Carleton Ravens in the Raven Zone, a fun virtual place to meet new people, play games, tell jokes, and stay connected to the Carleton community.
Did you know you can rent textbooks instead of buying? By renting your textbooks from the Carleton Bookstore, you'll be saving up to 80% of its costs. You can write, highlight, and add notes in a rented textbook as well. We're excited to welcome Bridgehead to campus. Bridgehead is located on the ground floor of the Nickel Building. Bridgehead serves fair trade coffee and organic teas, as well as wraps and baked goods made from scratch in their local kitchen. For hours, visit dining.carleton.ca. The Print Shop is Carleton's full-service print shop on campus. It's open Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can print anything here, from postcards to banners, theses, and general printing. If you can think it, we can print it. The Carleton University Bookstore is open for in-store shopping and online. Find your textbooks, school supplies, and other merchandise at the bookstore. Visit us at carletonshop.ca or on the first floor of the University Center.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to preface that this event is being recorded. I hope you're all having a good evening so far, and thank you for coming and joining our event, An Evening with Kaleb Dahlgren. Before we start, I would like to have a land acknowledgement. So despite this event being virtual, Carleton University acknowledges the location of its campus on the traditional unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation. In doing so, Carleton acknowledges it has a responsibility to the Algonquin people and a responsibility to adhere to Algonquin cultural protocols. Today, we are joined by Kaleb Dahlgren. Kaleb beats the odds. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 4 and was told by his coaches and scouts that he would never succeed in hockey. He worked relentlessly and played at the highest level of hockey, each year of his young year. His own struggles inspired him to create the program, Dahlgren's Diabetes. This program uses hockey as a platform to shed light on type 1 diabetes and provide support for children living with the disorder. On April 6, 2018, en route to a playoff game in Nipawin, the Humboldt Broncos team bus was involved in a horrific bus crash. This crash resulted in the death of 16 players and left 13 players with critical injuries. Kaleb was one of these 13 players. He suffered extensive injuries, including a fractured skull, traumatic brain injury, and several fractures in his neck and back. A true fighter, Kaleb was determined to return to hockey. No matter the circumstance, Kaleb has lived by a select set of principles, and these principles reflect his positive approach to life's challenges and have helped him achieve his goals. In today's keynote, Kaleb will present the importance of holding yourself accountable and the essence of building community. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Kaleb to the virtual stage for his address.
Hello, Ravens. I hope you're having a great day so far. It's an honor to be here speaking today and a part of Carleton University Fall O Week. I understand this virtual format is not the same as being in person. My hope today is I can make it as close to personal experience as possible. Before we start, I want you to write one feeling you have towards this academic school year inside the chat. So I'm looking at the chat right now. Write in one feeling you have. It could be either excited, positive, scared, nervous, anything. Write one feeling. It could be whatever's on your mind. I just want to see some people, eager, excited, nervous, nervous as hell, overwhelmed. Yeah, there's lots of different feelings right now. Awesome. Stressed already. Week 1 has just started. Hyped. Nice. Awesome. No, that's great. It's great to see you guys chiming in. Well, we got a couple more coming in. Nervous and overwhelmed, like anxious. These feelings are completely okay and understandable for sure. It's definitely different times that you're coming into. I also want to mention that I hope you enjoy this rink background I got here. This background has lost meaning to me and is symbolic in nature. Yes, of course, it's where I played hockey, but it's also so much more. My second home, where I bonded with teammates and created such a lifelong family. It is my favorite arena, the Elgar Peterson Arena in Humboldt, Saskatchewan. My hope today is to create our own family within this talk, hopefully leaving feeling ready to leave your legacy at Carleton U. I want to take you back to my roots and the things that helped develop me into the person I am today. I was born and raised in good old Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And for some of you, you're probably like, where the heck is Moose Jaw? And yes, there is a big moose and it does have a big jaw. But I was born and raised there, lived there till I was 6, and I was fortunate enough to have amazing parents, Mark and Nita, who brought me into the world, and they've been married for 30 years. They're both nurses by trade, and I grew up in that kind of household. And it was just me, a hockey-crazed kid. So I want to ask you a couple questions. What do you see in this photo? Put it in the chat if you're comfortable. You put whatever you want. What do you see in these 2 photos here? For me, I see some smiles out in the wilderness, happiness, awesome. Quad, kids, hockey player, maybe in an arena, athletic, active, happy. What you don't see is a 24/7 attention to my blood sugar. My parents behind the camera worrying if I'll be okay during the quad trip or the hockey game. Me even thinking I'm alone and alienated by others. Or a young child not having a person to look up to, or even just talk to. Just ask questions, or see that I can achieve my dreams. You don't see the monitoring of every food item I put into my body, the routine middle of the night check-ins, or the pain of receiving needles 8 times a day. However, this was life of a type 1 diabetic. The first time I really had to learn to comprehend the concept of positive over negative was when I was 4 years old. I was at my babysitter's house, and it was just a typical day. I was going to play my dad floor hockey downstairs at the end of the night. I was pumped up and super excited for it. I was very thirsty at the time, and I'm drinking 4 liters of milk from 8 a.m. till 12 at noon. And my babysitter thought, okay, something's up. Let's call my dad. She called my dad, Mark, and said, hey, I think there's something wrong with Kaleb. He drank 4 liters of milk from this morning up to lunch here. I think you should come and grab him and take him to the hospital. My dad's like, oh, that's crazy. Yeah, no, I'll definitely come. So my dad got off work, took me back home to the house. And while I was at home, I had my head underneath the tap of the sink, lapping water into my mouth, just trying to get water into my mouth because I was that thirsty. my dad was like, okay, this is completely bizarre. I've never seen Kaleb do this before. We really got to get him to the hospital now. So when he took me to the hospital, we rushed there. It was absolutely packed. We got passed through went through emergency, got him pretty fast once they found something wasn't good with me, and got rushed into the room. And within about an hour after getting poked and prodded with needles, the doctor comes into my room and looks at my dad and says, your son's a type 1 diabetic and he's being insulin dependent for the rest of his life. And that hit my dad hard. He and my mom both knew about diabetes through nursing. They were fortunate enough to learn about it and have somewhat of a background. I knew that life was going to be difficult. They knew it was going to be different. And that was one of the harder things for me, because imagine if you have any 4-year-old siblings or cousins or nieces, nephews, they don't even comprehend what's going on in life, let alone getting poked with needles. They would not be happy. So as me, I wasn't happy in the hospital. When I was in there, I even said, I'm going to throw this chair through this window so I get kicked to the doctor's house. So I wasn't happy in there. And as soon as I left, I thought I was home free. I went home, no more needles, nothing. Within 20 minutes, I found out I get another needle. Later that day, another needle. Just before bed, another needle. And this became a very vicious negative cycle in my life. I was refusing it. I didn't want to get a needle. I was mad at my parents. I even challenged them. I said, why are you hurting me? You don't love me. You wouldn't hurt me if you loved me. And it absolutely tore their heart. And he would play every time it was needle time in the household. I'd go and hide, and it was hide and go seek, but I didn't want to be found. And it was really difficult for the first 3 months. But after that third month, I finally kind of came to terms with it. I was like, you know what? I need needles to survive. That's what my parents described to me. They're like, you need needles to survive and to have you for the rest of your life here healthy. You need to continue getting needles. So that was my first kind of challenge. And lucky enough, I was able to shift my perception and to focus on the positives. Of course, living with the disease is hard, but having a negative mindset makes it twice as hard. Thankfully, I was still able to live a normal life. I just had to control my diabetes and not let it control me. I was fortunate enough to play hockey at the highest level possible. When I was 16, I was playing AAA hockey and I was able to move away from home. That was kind of my first time really where I felt like I was at my pinnacle or elite of my game. I was fortunate to play in the Brick tournament. For some of you that are hockey fans, it's one of the biggest tournaments internationally 10-year-old can play in. I played on Team Sask, which is a super cool experience. But I was lucky to play hockey at a high level and not really let diabetes stop me. And when I was 16, I moved away, but it wasn't that easy of a move. In this time, my dad was actually severely ill, and we didn't even know what was wrong with him. He was frail, weak, tired, lethargic, would have hot and cold flashes. And majority of my time from 15 to 16 and living at home was me taking care of him. I would take off nights with my friends. I would never, ever go out. And if I did, I'd feel guilty because I was leaving him at home. If my mom was working full time too. So whenever she was gone, I'd take care of him. Whenever she came back, she'd take care of him and I. I tried to help out as much as I could, but I knew that my dad needed me to be his support. And so I wasn't going to leave his side. So I did move away for hockey at 16. It wasn't as easy as transition as other people may have thought. And I was lucky enough to create a family in North Battleford. And they truly helped me throughout these difficult times. And you see in this photo, this was my team up there. It's just one of the funnier photos that we have. You see a guy doing the old Tebow, Tim Tebow, I think it was called. And I completely forgot about that until I saw him do that. And that was just one of the things. And now we're all with the dabs kind of thing. But that was what it was back in my day, was a Tebowing. And whether it was just practice, having my roommate Billet support me when I needed it, or get together as a team for a DQ night. These are little things that can take the emotional weight off of a person and really bring them to a happy place. I want you to consider that in your time at Carleton, how one little good deed can really make an impact on a person's life and can build that community, because you never know what's going through their mind, you never know what's going on at home, and just doing that one little thing can really make their life a lot better. You may ask, how did I end up in this point as a national ambassador with JDRF? And to be honest, it was difficult for me to get to this point, and I'm really proud that I got to it too. I had to find the positives in this negative disease, like how it builds maturity, healthy habits, awareness of what you're putting into your body, independence, strength, resilience, and so much more. Never tried to use diabetes as a crutch. Rather, I made every reason for it to not be an excuse. Growing up, like I said, I played hockey at the highest level my whole life and made sure that diabetes never held me back. And when I was 16, I really want to give back to the diabetic community. My parents wanted me to wait until I graduated high school. 18, I finally joined on to JRF, which is Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, as a provincial ambassador while playing hockey at Notre Dame. I've been with them for 6 years now, and the last 4 years of those as a national ambassador. For me, the idea was giving back, and it fueled my soul. To put a smile on people's faces really makes me happy inside too. I was 19 and playing in Notre Dame, and it was all going well my entire life. My hockey career was at an amazing point. I was talking Division I schools, talking to youth sports schools. I had lots of my opportunities and my goals right at my fingertips. And I was actually going to be named captain for my final year, but I truly wasn't fulfilled on the inside. And this was probably one of the hardest parts of my life in the leadership, community, team aspect, because I loved everything about Notre Dame, but there's just one piece of me that was missing. And I ended up asking for a trade to create a program in my last year of junior hockey that I've been thinking of since I was 16, and I was traded to Humboldt. And I was lucky enough to move to a bigger center. Wilcox was 400 and Humboldt had 5,000 people. And so when I got there, I had a phone call with head coach Darcy Hogan. I said, look, like I've had this dream program since I was 16 in Notre Dame. I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like it was the right place because of the fan base. I feel like Humboldt would be the place to start this. It would be my new home and be something that I could do to help type 1 diabetic children. He said, yeah, I love it. Let's hear more. So I started a program called Dahlgren's Diabetes. And some of you might be asking, what is Dahlgren's Diabetes? Some of you might be thinking, what a weird name. Others might like the name. But for me, type 1 diabetes, I was told that type 1 diabetes would hold me back in hockey. And when I was diagnosed at 4, I didn't have that influential figure to look up to. I was alone. And even at school, when I go to the bathroom, I remember this story so vividly. It was grade 4, and I was in the bathroom, giving myself insulin in a bathroom stall. So you really couldn't see it. And one of my classmates came in and kicked the door and was like, what are you doing in there? And he peeked his eye through the little hole in the crack of the bathroom stall. And he looked and he saw me doing my needle. He started freaking out, screaming, ran out of the bathroom, yelled, oh my God, he's giving himself a needle. He's giving himself a needle. And at the time, I felt so embarrassed. But that was literally my life, was that I had to give myself needles to survive. And I think that for me, I don't want other children to go through that. And if I had the opportunity to use my sports platform to make them feel beautiful for their difference, instead of having them feel alienated, something that I wanted to do. So, like I said, I had some coaches who were a little against me playing hockey. They said it was a performance-driven sport and that I should take up a less strenuous sport. And one of the coaches that said that jokingly said, how about bowling? And I was like, well, that is not even comparable to hockey, but I find it kind of funny now. I can laugh at it. But I created this mentorship program to really build personal relationships with type 1 diabetic children and remind them that they can pursue any dreams they have, regardless of diabetes. And my message is that I manage my diabetes, I don't let it manage me. I want to make sure they knew that they were not alone in this battle. And I was fortunate enough to use my sports platform to really generate that awareness around disease and to make the diabetes feel beautiful about their difference. So what I would do is I'd invite the diabetic and their family for a pregame meal at Johnny's Bistro, which was a local restaurant in Humboldt. And they would come to the game and have complimentary tickets for them and their family, participate in a ceremonial face-off like you see here. After the face-off, get a picture down there. And then we'd meet upstairs and watch the game. And then once the game is over, we'd meet upstairs and chat with the family and just have that kind of personal connection, answer their questions, be that support that I would have wanted. Even like questions like, what do you do on your first date? It's difficult being a diabetic on your first date because you have to check your blood sugar or give yourself insulin no matter what. And you have to at least let them know or just do it secretly, but you might as well be open about it on the first date. Or what do you do when you're camping? How do you handle blood sugars when you're going in sports? What do you do with sports? These were questions that I had that no one really had answers to. And so I thought, well, if I could answer these questions for the children, I could help them. And after that, I'd put them into a Facebook group chat. We'd have a little Facebook group chat with all other diabetes. And then the last part that I really wanted to do was spread the awareness. So obviously I was fortunate enough to do it at our Humboldt home games. So we had lots of fans who kind of got more awareness around type 1 diabetes. but I also went to the schools of every child and did a presentation at their school for the whole school. And that was for me the big thing that I wanted, because I knew that in class, lots of these diabetics didn't feel comfortable. And that if more people understood them, they'd feel more comfortable. And I would have loved that as a child. And so I remember one of my diabetes, his name is Jack, and Jack was super, super shy. He was like scared to tell anyone he was a diabetic. He was really nervous to even bring it up to his friends or even to his classmates. And he was kind of living a lie. He was trying to hide it. And so he became a diabetes. I went to his school, did a presentation, and his mom said he changed, said he became a way different person. So then after the season ended, I ended up going back to the school. And before Jack would hide his pump, hide anything due to diabetic thing, he would even leave class to have snacks. He would walk out of his classroom, have a snack, man, low blood sugar, then walk back in like nothing happened. So he was really, really shy about it. And at the end of the year, at his school year, he was up front presenting to the entire school about his diabetic journey. And that right there just showed me how big of an impact this can have. And also made me feel special because I was able to have that impact on him, but he had a major, even I think stronger impact on me. And so what really matters most is the connections I've made. The lives I'm able to change for the better. The Dahlgren Diabetes Program has truly not even helped me, but has helped the children, and it's helped me way more than them. And has given back truly fuels my soul. And so if you could just take something away from this, it'd be just give back, get involved, get inside the community, because you never know what can come from it. You really don't know what you guys might leave your legacy at Carleton and how much of an impact it can have on the next generation of students coming in. And lucky enough, while I was in Humboldt, it wasn't just all giving back, volunteering. I also did lots of that, but we had an amazing team. And our team was full of great high character people. And when I say high character people, I mean like elite people who really were kind-hearted, genuine, and sweet, unreal people. And so what we'd do some nights is have Bachelor Mondays, and there'd be 15 plus of a 23-guy roster there. And we'd even have Riverdale Thursdays with 10 plus guys, and we go Johnny's Bistro and have 10 plus guys for pregame brunches. And so the whole idea was to create that family and that community. And I was fortunate enough to have that. And it was something that's truly special and you don't get everywhere. And even things like joking around at practice or fantasy football or fantasy hockey, those are the things that we really tried to bond over. And even watching the Super Bowl, those are things that you can bond over with classmates, peers, and have something in common outside of academics or sports. Lucky enough, I was able to give back. I want to be more than part of the team as well and dive deep into the community of Humboldt. I already had my diabetes, but I started volunteering with other aspects weekly. One of the many inspirations I met within the community was Shane. And Shane's in this bottle photo here. He's in a black jersey under my right arm. And Shane was absolutely incredible. He worked at Home Hardware, was on the Special Olympics hockey team, was a part of my taxi crew, which was a crew I drove to and from every home game. And there are a bunch of Special Olympic athletes, is a diehard Broncos fan, and lives with Down syndrome genetic disorder. He's also one of the most caring, humorous, and loving individuals I have had the pleasure to know. And he was even crying after one of my games because it was the last game of regular season. I remember him coming out crying. I was like, why are you crying? He's like, well, this is the last game you're playing as a Bronco for a regular season. I was like, Shane, it's okay. But he is such a natural zest for life and enjoys every moment, wearing his heart on his sleeve. And Shane showed me the value of remaining positive over negative once again, and how much of an impact it can truly have on the people surrounding you. April 6th, 2018 was a day that I'll never forget. A day where a collision took away 16 people and injured 13 people who I consider to be family. And it was just a normal day. I remember everything leading up to the accident. I was a row 12 aisle seat, and it was just a normal day. I was getting ready for a game. We were playing against the Nipawin Hawks in our Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League playoffs in the semifinals. We were down 3-1 in the series, but it honestly could have been 3-1 for us. We had so much momentum going in, and even with the series being down 3-1, we lost 2 games that we had the lead in. Ultimately went into overtime, and then we lost in overtime. So had we closed out those 2 games, it literally could have been 3-1 for us. Nippon was a top ranked team in Canada throughout the year, usually top 5 all year. And we knew we had it in us to really take it to them and hopefully bring it back home for another night to stay alive and then continue on again. We just took it one game at a time. And I remember going on the bus, sitting down, and guys were playing cards, joking around, just having normal fun times like you do on the bus. Bus is like a safe spot. I've always had some of the best times on the bus. And even if you want to think back to sometimes like elementary school, high school, field trips, those were some of the best times was on the bus. And so for us, that was some of the best times. So we had guys playing cards, guys joking around, guys listening to music, guys eating, guys changing. But it was just another family. And that's what we were. We were a family ready to go. And so what I like to do is I like to change into my suit. So you normally wear like sweats or hoodie on the bus, and then you change it to your suit. So what I like to do is change in my suit 45 minutes out. I'll eat just before. I'll put on my suit, and then I like to visualize. And so for me, it was just another game day. So that's what I did. I was listening to music, had my pregame meal. It was from Johnny's Bistro. And it's my favorite spot. Everybody loves Johnny's Bistro in Humboldt. So if anybody has Humboldt ties, they know about Johnny's. And had Johnny's Bistro, and then I tossed on my suit, sat back down in my seat. And then what I like to do is I like to visualize. And so that night I was actually on a shutdown line, and my whole role was to shut down the top line on the other team. And I knew I was able to do it. I've done it the past 2 years before, and that was something I was really good at. And so I was looking forward to the challenge of being able to stop their top line and also produce offensively while I could as well on the power play. So it was something that I was really looking forward to. So I always would like to visualize what I was going to do and who I was shutting down. So what I normally do is I normally close my eyes and put my headphones in. So that's exactly what I did.
Pain is in the building.
And everything went black. I don't remember anything after the accident for 4 days. I was in a state called post-traumatic amnesia, when the injured person is conscious and awake, but is behaving or talking in a bizarre, uncharacteristic manner. I still have no memory of the 4 days right after the collision, but I was truly not acting myself. According to my first responder, and this story still hits home, but I guess I was walking around helping others on the scene, and he came up to me and asked what was wrong, and I said my neck and my back. And he said, okay, stay here, stay here. I was like, no, it's okay. He's like, no, stay here. They ended up bringing me a stretcher and put me on a stretcher. And as he was taking me into the ambulance, he said, I've been through a lot. Make sure you take care of others. Don't drop me. And then he said, okay, sounds good. And I said, my name's Kaleb Dahlgren. I'm 20 years old. I'm a type 1 diabetic. And as they loaded me into the ambulance, I said, thank you for your help. I still cannot remember the scene today. And I'm not sure if I do or if I don't want to. I'm okay with remembering it, but I'm also okay with not remembering it. Whatever happens, happens. And for me, this was one of the tough parts of my life and probably one of the most tragic parts of my life. And I can't remember it, but it would be nice to know who I was helping and what I was doing on that scene. But it's also, I'm okay also not knowing as well, because sometimes in life we have unanswered questions that'll always be unanswered. The injuries I suffered were quite severe. I had severe traumatic brain injury. I had a fractured skull and scalp degloving. I also had a puncture wound to my skull, 5 broken vertebrae in my neck, 4 broken vertebrae in my back, large blood clots in my left forearm and behind my right eardrum, ligament and muscle tears in my neck and my back, and also nerve damage as well. They also found that I broke 2 ribs and a vertebrae throughout the hockey season that I played through. I had no idea. I just thought I had sore ribs, but I had no idea they were broken. But never really hit my family how severe my brain injury was until my doctor called them. And my doctor ended up calling my dad, and it was like, I'm so sorry about the crash. I have no words to say. I am speechless. I just send my condolences to you and all the families. And my dad said, well, thank you. Like, I appreciate the kind words. And it was difficult for sure. Like, we're just lucky that we still have Kaleb here, but like, we're at a loss for words too. Thank you. He said, I know I'm so sorry about Kaleb. I know he'll never be the same. And I know that life will be different for you guys. And it breaks my heart to see. My dad's like, yeah, like things will never be the same. You're right. But hopefully you can recover fully and have a normal life and live happily. And my doctor was like, I know, but like, I know he doesn't remember you guys. I know he can't talk. I know he can't walk. Like, I am just so sorry about that. My dad's like, what do you mean he can't talk or can't walk? And then my doctor was like, well, based on the image here, he shouldn't be able to talk, walk, or anything. He shouldn't be able to remember you guys. My dad's like, well, he does remember us and he is talking and he is walking. And then my doctor was like, what? Really? Okay, I gotta come see him. So I'm coming after his work. And when he walked into the room, I said, hi, Dr. Lee. He goes, how's it going? And he ended up falling to the floor and started crying. He's like, I can't get over this. He's like, I can't believe this. He said, based on the image, you should be in a vegetative state. You should not be able to remember your name, how to write, how to walk, or how to talk. And that was when it really hit my parents, just how severe a brain injury I really had and how fortunate I was to be in the state I am. And even in the state I am today with you guys, how lucky I am to be where I'm at. The worst part of it all definitely wasn't my injuries, though. It was losing 16 people that I love, who I still today consider family. I was unable to attend any funerals as I was not cleared to leave the hospital. I didn't have that closure, so I do it within myself with old videos and their personal social media. Lots of people have asked me, what helped you the most when you recover? And what helped me the most was really focus on the things that you can control. And cliche enough, I ended up putting this sign that you see over here on my wall at the start of the season. And I was going to my 20-year-old year, and I just wanted to really focus on the things that were within my control. The biggest thing on my mind was getting an academic and athletic scholarship. And that was my dream ever since I was a young kid. And that was my goal that was next on my chopping list. I had a big list. I wanted to go play pro overseas in Europe. But before I got there, I wanted to get my education through my athletic abilities and academic abilities too. And so obviously that's not really within my control. I can't just sign a piece of paper that coach gives me and say, you're in. I have to actually work for it and focus on things that I could control. So I put this up at the start of the year, and it really came into perspective right after the crash. I couldn't control the semi-driver. I couldn't control the tragedy. I couldn't control the injuries that I suffered. I couldn't control other people's reactions, why I was here and why others were not. And it really didn't make sense. I had my best friend and roommate who sat behind me pass away. And even another one behind him passed away. Beside me passed away. Kitty corner to me passed away. Kitty corner behind to the right survived. Person in front of me survived. It just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. And so for me, I couldn't control that. I couldn't control the injuries that other people had. I really couldn't control any of that stuff. But what I could control was my actions, my work ethic, my beliefs, my attitude, and how I honor those who were involved moving forward. I couldn't change the past, and there's no positive outcome by focusing my energy and time on things that I can't control or change. But it's definitely a hard thing to accept. And I want you guys to think about a time where this applied to you in your life. Maybe someone stole your wallet, or you got into an accident and it was the other driver's fault, or you got diagnosed with a disease. These situations are oftentimes out of our control. However, we can control our reaction to these events. Before the accident, I wish I lived my life to the fullest. And after the accident, I have that even much more reason to do so. For the 16 who are not here. Even part of the reason why I do speeches is to honor their legacy. And I want to challenge you listening to this. Think of a person who has left your life too soon and ask yourself this question. If I was to switch places with them, and I was the one who passed away, how do I want them to live their life? And so as I was sitting in my hospital bed, this is how I thought. I was in survivor's guilt. I was felt guilty that I was alive. I felt like, why am I here when there's younger people who have more potential in life not here? It just didn't make sense to me. And then I thought, well, me thinking like this isn't going to help. I thought, if I was to pass away, how would I want the survivors here to live their life? And for me, I'd want them to really make the most of every second they have, to follow their passions, to not sweat the little things, and to truly be happy. What would you guys want? Obviously, 6-0 for Humboldt and 6-0 for the Broncos was absolutely incredible. I I still can't fathom how much that meant to me and all the families. And the global outpouring support was incredible. And everyone really rallied around the crash and gave their support by sending messages, letters, stickers, wearing ribbons, bracelets, donations, jerseys, even something simple like putting your hockey stick on the doorstep. The positivity in this time truly helped me conquer the negative. And I just want to say, on behalf of myself, thank you. If you took part in any of these things, thought of us, or even just sent prayers or even anything, just a single thought, thank you from the bottom of my heart. What really hit me in the hospital was just how thankful I am for the support. And many others in the hospital, not related to accident, didn't get this kind of support, even though they have experienced their own tragedy. And I remember this lady that was sitting beside me in the hospital bed, and I had two other teammates in my room, and there's this elderly lady beside me, and she's sitting there, and she got maybe one visitor in 3 days, and then in the whole week, she had two visitors. And meanwhile, us Bronco players had a line outside of our door wanting to come see us. And I felt so bad because this lady didn't get many visitors. So I really tried to include her on everything that we did. Whenever we got food, she'd have some food. It was just, I wanted to make her feel like she was loved and cared for. And so now more than ever, my heart goes out to those individuals who need support with their difficulties, because I know how much more and how much that meant to me. And I knew that community of Humboldt was struggling. And my goal was really to see the people of Humboldt as soon as possible. And in this time, on the 5th day after the accident, I convinced the physiotherapist to take me downstairs for physio. And obviously my half up, half down hairstyle and workout shoe of slippers definitely helped me succeed that day. But this was truly where I took appreciation to enjoy the grind. I see this shirt you see from Anze Kopitar and LA Kings on their playoff run that year. The difference for me was the meaning behind the slogan, how fitting it truly was for me. My grind was trying to rehab the injuries, of course, but deal with the mental health, the awareness of what had happened and make sense of it. Also the emotional pain of losing my family members. This was definitely a grind, but I sure was going to enjoy it. The one thing I took away was that it wasn't just me and my grind. Everyone has their own special grind. This grind can include academics, work, relationships with friends or families, parenting, sports, finances, recovering from addictions, injuries, diseases, or illnesses, and so many other situations. The idea is to find the positives and to like truly enjoy that grind. And even if there are not that many, and it's hard to find that positive, there will always be that one positive, and that's that you're still here. For me, that was one of the positives I had to cling on to. For me, also, I want to say that we had tons of cool guests that came and visited. You probably recognize the person in this photo, one in on the far right. When he came and visited, it was a pretty cool experience. And it really amazing just to see how much support we truly had. And I just can't thank the people enough who have been in my life, my friends, my family, because it really goes to show that you need to surround yourself with good people. For me, I have had good people in my life from here on out, from when I first came into the world all the way to now, and they all came through. And I think as you start your university experience, you need to find good people who you surround yourself with. Those people who can carry you and lift you up on your bad days, and you can lift them up on their bad days, that have your back and you have their back. That's what you need to look for. And I was fortunate enough to have that. And for me, the first day in Humboldt was so special, so special. And it wasn't easy. I went back right after I got out of the hospital, and I was finally able to live out my goal of going back to Humboldt. And for some of you listening to this, you're probably thinking, I should run away from going back. But that was the first place I really wanted to be. I wanted to help the community that I was so in love with heal. And doing this was far from easy. There were so many mixed emotions from everyone. There was tears of joy and sadness, and smiles of love and hurt. This was needed for the community and for me. And from there on out, I attended every Humboldt Broncos event I could to really show my support, to love the 16 family members I lost, the 13 survivors, the community of Humboldt, and all those affected. And in my experience, looking back at it now, I thought I was really helping those people. But by attending these events, interacting with others, and putting a smile on their face, it helped me heal as well. Giving back was part of my healing process and fueled my soul. I want you to think of a time where you did something for someone out of the kindness of your heart, where they could never repay you. Maybe it was buying tickets or picking up someone's tab who is struggling, or helping someone pick up groceries after their bags broke, or even just giving your time to someone in need. How did that truly make you feel? This is a spot where I spent time healing, and it's at the Broadway Bridge. The slide is going to load here soon, but I describe it so vividly in chapter 16. It was one of my favorite places where I was able to reflect, grow, and heal. I took time for myself and really focused on myself, what I think is critical for mental wellness. I would even argue that mental health is just as important as physical health. And one of the things that I thought about here was I was going to see a physical therapist, I was going to see a personal trainer, I was going to see a mental therapist, a mental coach. I was going to all these different sources. And I thought, why do people put such a big stigma on mental health when people were cheering me on for going to my physio and cheering me on to go to my personal training sessions? And then if you go to a counselor, it's like, whoa, why are you going to a counselor? Why wouldn't you want to be the best version you can be? And so for me, I took a multifaceted approach to healing. I went to all different things to help my healing process. And I wanted to be the best version of myself. So now I think, why wouldn't we be cheering them on? What's the difference between cheering someone on for their physical health or cheering someone on for the mental or emotional health? There's no difference with that in my mind. But I was able to be true to myself in these times, be able to hide a bit and just heal on my own, because even in Saskatoon, where I'd go out, I get recognized instantly. Even my first time going to the mall, I had a lineup of people waiting to talk to me of about 15 plus, and I wasn't even into the second door yet. And that's where it really hit me just how different my life was going to be. And I was able to come to terms with what had happened here and find my happiness in this truly calming place. Before the crash, I was fortunate enough to commit at York University. I had talked to lots of schools at the time and wanted to try something new. I didn't want to be in the prairies. I wanted to either go out east or out west, but not be in the prairies. And so for me, York was one of the schools I was really interested in. My assistant coach, who was also York Lion, was there for 5 years and told me that you got to go. So I ended up committing to them and enrolling in school in February before the crash. And I went against various neurologists and doctors' orders by taking a full course load in the fall of 2018 at York University while being part of the men's hockey team. And I went against doctors' orders because they were giving me all these tests and I was exceeding on these tests. I was doing very well. And even as I was succeeding, all of them said, you should stay home. And they said, like, if you go to school, you're going to fail out. You're not going to succeed academically. You're going to go down a dark path and life will be difficult for you. And I thought, well, that's strange. Like, I don't know about that. I honestly think I need to give it my all. And even at the time, my parents said, like, you should probably stay home. And the doctors recommended that I took one class online at home in Saskatoon and stay with my family. And for me, this was my lifelong goal, was to be a student athlete, to follow my passion and dream, and to really own up to my lifelong goal. And so I knew if I knew one thing, and it was just one thing only, it was that I had to give my all and try university at York University in Toronto. If I failed trying my best, then I knew I did everything in my power and try to control the things I could control. But I've let others dictate my future for me and not even try. It was truly only my loss. And thankfully, I have continued Dahlgren's diabetes, and I have 16 diabetes today. And giving back, I was giving back in so many different ways to the York community. And one of these things that always put a smile on my face is seeing the smiles of theirs. So many cool events I've had with them, so many different relationships I've built through this program. And even while at York, I was involved in so many other different organizations. And those are the kind of connections that I really encourage you guys to take on yourself. You're going to meet so many different people throughout your university experience. You're going to come in contact and actually hold those relationships. Don't just stay on your phone, put your head down, put your headphones in and walk into school and then walk right out with the same thing. Because that's not going to get you social skills. You may get an education, yes, but you're not going to get lifelong friendships, lifelong memories, or even enjoy your time. You're going to say, oh, I didn't like my time. And they're asking you why. And like, well, I never talked to anyone. And that's not fun at all. So get involved, enjoy it. And these are some of the best years of your life. You're going to be working the rest of your life. Maybe you'll go and get a master's or a doctorate, but you're going to be working for the rest of your life. So you might as well make the most of this time that you have and truly enjoy it. So for me, that's what I try to do. I try to make the most of my time at York, give back, get involved in the community, do well in academics, but really have fun. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and that changed everything. And I know right now, pandemics changed lives for everybody. And it is still tough for individuals right now, as COVID-19 has been affecting our lives in various ways for over a year now. But these feelings of fear, unanswered questions, fatigue, and the unknown is completely okay. Even this virtual format I'm in right now, we have gotten so improved with technology now. We became quick learners. We've been adaptable. We've been strong, resilient. And it's looking like things are starting to resume, as we can see here, which is really nice. Even if it's not fully back to normal, it's starting to work its way back. But the perspective I like to use, and I absolutely love, is that we're all in the same storm, but not the same boat. So some people may have yachts, meanwhile, others might have a metal boat with holes. Right now, we're all at various points of our life and coping with this, but some may have a peaceful place at home and others might have a difficult situation. Even when times are tough, being aware and mindful of these differences amongst each other will pay off in the long run, as we all try and navigate the same storm. And for me, thankfully, being inside of 2020 due to COVID-19 was a blessing in disguise. And I've made the most of my time and wrote a personal memoir called Crossroads. This was able to build another community that I never even thought would be possible. And through the writing, I was able to give back to a charity that I think doesn't get enough credit, which is Stars Air Ambulance. And they're in the bottom left corner here. And for me, the reason why I gave back to them is because they saved lives on April 6th, 2018. They also save lives every single day. And I didn't know about their service until I needed it. So they're an air ambulance company that truly saves lives. They're something that I never even knew I needed until I needed them. I think a lot of people within rural Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, BC don't know about them until they actually need them. And so for me, I want to donate a portion of proceeds to them. And I also wanted to turn open wounds into beautifully healed scars throughout the book, and I did. I talked about various topics I wanted to address, such as hope, family resilience, but also mental and physical health, diabetes, brain injury awareness, death, grieving, sports, and so many others. And throughout this process, I found strength. And for me, I always equated strength to physical strength. It's always me being the strongest in the gym, lifting the most weight, having the biggest hit of the game, always being tough mentally and never cracking under pressure, never taking chirps to heart. But I found emotional strength. And it was strength in being vulnerable. And right now we're in a time where we need to be vulnerable and open. And for me, I found that throughout writing the book. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I never knew there was strength in being vulnerable. I was always that tough guy who always put it to the side. But for me, when I opened up, I truly healed myself. And through writing this book, I can say I've now healed from my past. And I think that's such a special power that we can all get to and should all be striving for, is to heal from things that might trigger us or might hurt us, and to really become as strong as we can physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so today, I'm lucky enough to say I've graduated from York University with a commerce degree. And just so you know, shout out to Carleton, that's better than Ottawa U. I just want to say, I know there's a lot of beef going on, so shout out to Carleton. But throughout my studies, I was able to earn academic All-Canadian and be Dean's List in all my years in my commerce degree. And my motivating factor was to prove the doctors and many others who doubted me wrong, but also to prove those who supported and believed in me right. This has not been an easy process, and I had to rely on the help of my e-reader, academic accommodations, tutors, and even devoting many more hours to my studies than other people in my class. However, since I was 13, my goal was to be a chiropractor when I saw my first chiropractor, and it was going to be after my hockey career of playing pro in Europe. Thankfully, I can say that my dream and goal is one step closer to becoming true, as I've started my doctoral studies at Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College in Toronto. And I'm here to say that you can achieve any of your dreams, regardless of age, as long as you follow your passion, enjoy the grind, and create a community to be there with you through it. Before we end, I want to leave you with the analogy of how you as an individual can join collectively to build a strong community throughout this adversity that you're going to face and create resilience and strength amongst each other. These lights are a representation of our goals, dreams, ideas, and things we may imagine. When faced with obstacles, our lights start to flicker, some more than others. Some regain strength quicker, and others take time, but we all have our own light. Observe how these individual lights can really join together to build a bright light, which is reflective of such a vibrant community that you guys are part of. Sometimes you may think that you're alone, not together, or incapable. But when you come together as a community and believe in yourself, remarkable things can happen. I personally want to take this time to wish you all the best as you navigate your time as a Raven. I know it will be a blast. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you, and I'm beyond honored to share this space as you move forward on your journey throughout life and on this virtual presentation. Before we move into Q&A, I want to let you know that I'm more than comfortable with any question, and there's no line that can be crossed. I'm an open book, have healed from the adversity faced physically, mentally, and emotionally, and I also want to answer any question you may have and be open with you. Like I said, I find strength in being vulnerable. I hope you can find strength in being vulnerable too. You also can reach out through social media after the question and answer period. If you'd like to talk to me more personally, I'll answer as soon as I can. And saying that, we can now open up to question and answer. I'll take it to the hot seat.
Thanks so much, Caleb, for sharing your story with us and, all the messages of hope. It was really amazing to listen to. So I know you guys might have some questions, so you can feel free to put them in the chat or into the Q&A, and we'll dole them out here. So I'll give you a couple seconds to get them out there. I do have one here. I guess I'll start us off actually while people are mulling it over a little bit. So I guess one big one that might be applicable to a lot of students right now and just people in the world in general is, do you have moments where you struggle with your mental wellness or your mental health, when you get up in the morning, and how do you approach that, and how do you motivate yourself to, move forward, and get on with the day?
Great question. And I'd be lying if I said, no, I don't. I think we all do have those days no matter what. And for me, what I like to do is I have a gratitude checklist. And it's like 3 things, I guess, gratitude list. And it's 3 things I think about when I wake up that I'm grateful for. And I know it may sound cheesy or corny, but it really works for me. And even this morning, when I woke up, the first thing I thought was I'm so grateful for the opportunity to pursue my dream education. I'm grateful for the opportunity to present to you guys today. And I'm even grateful that I'm living in Toronto, have food on the table and a roof over my head. Like, there's so many things that could be going on, but for me to have that gratitude was truly something that has helped me on those tough days. And then even asking yourself why. And this could be a lighthearted or deep-hearted conversation. And for me, I always wake up with my motivation of why. Why do I do the things that I do? And why do I do this? Because I want to help empower the next generation of people going through the next challenges that they might face. Or why do I pursue chiropractic? Because I want to help people physically, mentally, emotionally have the most health and wellness in their life. Why do I try to give back and support others? Because I think life is difficult and it's nice to treat others how you would like to be treated too. So I think for me, those are some of the things. And I also try to do one good deed a day. And I know that may not sound like a lot, but it can have a ripple effect. So for example, even yesterday, I'll give you yesterday's good deed. Today was a text message, but yesterday I was out for ice cream with my friends, and I'm a big ice cream guy. I love it. And I saw lots of garbage kind of all over the restaurant, and I saw an employee just picking it up by himself. And I thought, well, I can help. It won't take too long. So I ended up cleaning up all the garbage with him. And he couldn't have been more grateful. He was like, thank you so much. Like, you saved so much time. Now I can actually go back and clean up inside and get off and hopefully be off on time instead of staying extra late. Like, thank you so much. That was just one small good deed that truly made an impact on his life. And today with the text, I haven't talked to my grandma in quite a long time. Sent her a text saying I'd call her tonight after this. And she was super pumped. So I think just doing those little things can really make an impact on other people's lives, but also make an impact on you as well. So those are some of the things I like to do to give back and to
Thank
get over
you.
those tough days.
You actually reminded me to call my grandma because I also need to call my grandma. So thank you for that reminder.
That's awesome.
And then another question we have here in the chat is a, kind of a pretty general one, so you can interpret it as you wish, but was it difficult to return to hockey after the crash? So whether that mean mentally, physically, in every aspect, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll even go to this slide. So I was fortunate enough to play for the York Lions, but I never played a game. And in those, I'd participate in warm-ups, ceremonial face-offs, and everything like that, but I never actually played a game. And we were planning on having me dress for senior night, but my senior night got canceled due to COVID. But the idea was going to dress me and have me sit on the bench for the game. But with my brain injury, it was very serious, very severe. And I ended up going to Dr. Charles Tatter, who's like a world-renowned neurologist. He's like the man. If there's a man in the world for neuro, he's the guy. So I went to him in Toronto. And when I went and saw him, I walked in the room and he said, okay, remember these first 5 words? I remember still one of the words was like xylophone. And there's some other random, like really random words that didn't have any correlation at all. I said, okay, sounds good. And then we did various testing and he looked at my image and showed me my image. And like, he just kept shaking his head. And he's like, I don't get it. And to have a guy who's this world renowned say that he doesn't understand you is a little bit intimidating and freaky. And he's like, look, like if I looked at you without the image, I think you're a student athlete. And he's like, I think you'd be playing hockey right now. He said, if I look at the image, you would not be able to walk or talk or remember your name. He's like, I've never seen things like this before. He said, this is unbelievable. And he said, like, you're lucky. He said, you are like in a miracle bubble. And the best way to describe it in the miracle bubble is that, you know, bubbles float through the air and sometimes they bump into things but don't pop and they continue floating and they hit something and it pops. And he said, that's exactly what my brain is right now. It's in that bubble where it's floating and everything's good. And I could hit something and it could pop. I could end to the state that I'm in. And I could go into that vegetative state that I'm supposed to be in. He said, obviously it could be better, but that's like the worst case scenario. And then he said, so he doesn't recommend me playing hockey. Not even allowed to run. I can't go for jogs because of the bouncing on my head. And so he said, like, you can practice and continue skating because it's a little bit fluid and better with that. But he said, like, I'd hold off running, maybe swim a bit, but there's a lot of stuff that I shouldn't be doing. And I didn't believe that was my brain. At the time, I was like, okay, if I'm doing this good, this must not be my brain. I was like, it has to be a different image. Could have been messed up. I don't care if it was messed up, it's fine, but I don't think it's my brain. So when I got another image of my brain, it would have been a week after, and the results came back and they were identical to the first image that I had. That was kind of when it really hit me, just how severe of brain injury it was and how lucky I truly was. That was when I really took a step back and reevaluated my life and said, like, is it really worth it to me to play hockey? No, it's not. Like, I think sports are great and it was my passion my entire life and still is my passion, but I want a job. I want a family. I want to have a normal life. I want to have kids. Like, I want to be that cool dad and coach them and have them pursue their passions. And so for me, there's so much more to life than just sport, and I didn't want to risk it. So I never did play hockey. And it was difficult for me to really accept that. And to answer the question now, it was difficult because when you know something your entire life, and it could be anything, if you have a job, if you have a relationship, and it's been your entire life where you've devoted so much time towards it, and to have it just be taken away is difficult. It's hard. And for me, that was difficult. It was hard for me to turn it off, but I learned that I could still be a leader without playing games on Friday and Saturday. That I could lead in other aspects of the team, such as community work, even the personality and attitude that I brought to the rink every day, the positivity that I brought, how I led our workouts. There's lots of things that I did to be a leader without playing those games. And I think that we're able to adapt in these situations and grow. And I grew tenfold in those ones.
Thank you so much.
Great
And
question.
we have another question here that says, medical tests and procedures cause me personally a lot of stress. Do you have any tips on dealing with that stress? Which I think is something that applies to a lot of people. So we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I think you just need to go in with an open mind and be comfortable with it. And I've had extensive amount of tests and procedures, and there is always risk for sure, but the risks are very, very slim. And you got to think that if you don't get it, then what else will happen? And one of my good friends is scared to get their blood taken, and that's okay. If I get my blood taken 4 times a year for sure, and sometimes even more due to my diabetes, and that's like out of the vein, out of the middle of your arm, like right here, and I get that done 4 times a year. And I just said to him, I was like, think of it as that you're doing this for your health, and it might catch something that you could live longer. And if you don't do it, then it might be gone sooner. Like, wouldn't you want to know that kind of thing? He's like, yeah, you're right. Like, I would like to know those kind of things. And I think it's just reframing your mindset. Instead of going with something scared, going with this helping you. And this is going to help you in the long run. It might suck right now. And trust me, it's not fun, but hopefully in the future it helps. And I think that for me, this was something that when I look at and I go into tests, I know it's going to help me in the long run. It might suck right now. I know it's going to not be that fun, but in the long run, I want to be here for my family. I want to be here for my friends. I still want to be on this earth. And I need to get this done to hopefully have a healthy and happy life, because you really don't realize how important physical health is until it's gone. And even how important mental health is until it's gone or you're in a bad state. Both of those are very important. Without one of them, it affects the other. And if you don't have physical health, it'll affect your mental health. And if you don't have mental health, it's going to affect your physical health. And I think they're very intertwined. And of course, you have people that have horrible physical health, but are great mentally. And I think those are true warriors too. You see some people are quadriplegics who are living life to the absolute fullest to make the most of it and still have a huge smile on their face every day. And even some with like Down syndrome genetic disorder, like I talked about with Shane, he doesn't have the best health, but he is still making the most of his life and having fun. And so that's why I think mental health is so important, and perception we have on life is. And so if you're able to reframe your mind and say, okay, it's going to help me now, it's going to be tough, but it's going to help me in the long run, then I think that'll help you throughout it. Hopefully that answered your question. Thank you so much for that question. That's a good one too.
Yeah, some awesome questions. I will say we do have I hate to cut you off, Gil. We have a couple other things starting in a few minutes. So I'm gonna kind of like wrap up, but if people want to stick around and ask a couple more questions, then that would be awesome. So I just want to, give a huge thank you again to Kaleb for being a part of our event this year. And thank you all for tuning in. One thing we did not mention is that a few lucky students in this call will actually be receiving a copy of Kaleb's books, Crossroads. So mini drum roll for the winner reveal. I'll just drum roll myself. So we have Camden W from the Central Frosh program, Lauren N from the Sprosh program, Aiden P from Eng Frosh, Emmanuel A from Eng Frosh, and Ruby W from the Central Frosh program. So make sure you keep an eye on your emails for information about how to claim your copy of Kaleb's book Crossroads. And for those of you who didn't win, you can still check out his book. It's on the screen and all his handles are there. It's been such an awesome night. Thank you all for coming. But it's not over. You can head off to, we have our Carleton versus U Ottawa face-off tonight, as well as our first generation student panel or our Bob Ross paint night in the Cosmos. So we'll see you at the next event. Thank you, Caleb, so much. If anyone has another question, we can stick around for another couple minutes. But Caleb does have to call his grandma tonight, so we won't keep you too long.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for the opportunity to bring me out here. And I'm absolutely honored to be speaking to you. And hopefully you enjoyed it. And like I said, wishing you all the best. These are going to be the best years of your life. And make sure you get involved and enjoy it. You have an amazing community at Carleton, and I can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Thank you so much, Caleb. Lots of thank yous flood in the chat if you can't see. Awesome. I think we're pretty much good. People are pretty much following that. I don't think I see any more questions. So I think we are good. Thank you so much again, Caleb. It was amazing having you. Amazing presentation. I was personally very moved by it. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jordan, and all the best. Hope you guys have a great O week too and make the most of it. It'll be fun. I'm sure you guys are having a blast so far.
Yes, we are. And good luck with all your endeavors.
Thank you so much. You as well. Keep in touch. And if you guys ever need anything, please reach out. Like I said, I'll try to answer as fast as I can. You also have my email, so you can email me too, Jordan. But thank you so much once again.